Necessary Unnecessary podcast. Today, we have your host, Nip Swag. Frisco is on the way. She's going to jump in and join. But we got Dana Mack in the building. Special guest. She is a PR agent and a mindset and wellness coach. Tell them a little bit about yourself, Dana.
Also a children's book author. I'm a yoga instructor, and as you said, a wellness practitioner. And I've been an educator for over 30 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you teach?
So throughout my career, I've taught adults. I've taught children. I have a specialization in autism. Mentoring and coaching other educators as well. I've been site director at Head Starts and worked for the school district and nonprofits. And so it's illustrious. My aunt had a school in the 70s all the way up to the 90s in Pasadena, my hometown where I'm from. So my first time out the gate, I worked for her school as a teacher for 2-year-olds. That's where I got my start.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, your mindset and wellness coach. Please tell me what that is.
So our mindset and wellness coach, our mindset is our set way of thinking and our paradigm, our perspective, and how we see the world. And many times that can be bogged down from our past, our childhood, where there's many limitations and beliefs, and that hinders us in how we actually go about moving in the world. And so what a mindset coach does is to help you navigate those parts of the mind where you're having the limitations, where you're having the limited beliefs, and to help you move past that so you can be successful, happier, and do the things that you really want to do in your life without those encumbrances.
So basically, like it's a being transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Absolutely. You put it so succinctly. Yes.
Okay, so my co-host was thinking, oh, that's just part 2 to mental health. I said, no. I said, mindset is different from mental health because you could have a terrible mindset without having mental health issues. It's not, but it can help with mental health issues, but it's definitely a separate thing. What do you think?
Not actually.
No.
Because when you're talking about mental health, you're definitely talking about the mind. And that's just a name that it's given in, let's say, when we're talking about from a psychology perspective, but your mindset is still your consciousness. And so both of them are about your consciousness. And your mindset is how you think and how you perceive the things that are happening in your world, the habits that you have. They could be good or bad, but more often than not, for the most of us, we are stuck in the familiar. And if we are not able to move forward for whatever it is that we may have experienced, it could be trauma, it could be, a difficult relationship, it could be something that happened as a child that caused what we call ACEs, adverse child, have those as adults. When something happens that can jar you and give you, those feelings and emotions that keep you stuck, then that is all about your mental health. The mindset is the same. And then what tends to happen is how you begin to think about what you're experiencing is either going to keep you stuck in that state of mind or move you forward. And that's where when we talk about having a paradigm shift and having a change in your perspective. And most of the times, we only change and transform through pain and suffering, right? And that doesn't have to be the case because we can change and transform from a place of joy and excitement. But we're usually forced to change because it feels like uncomfortable, right? It's icky, like we don't like this anymore. We don't want to live this way. But more often than not, we don't do that unless there is an outside force pushing us to that change.
So that brought up two things for me. That was like being a product of your environment. That was one thing. And then just kind of being like mentally or emotionally stunted, your growth being mentally and emotionally stunted at some point. You know, like in some areas, I feel like I'm wise as an 80-year-old man. In some areas, I feel like I'm, you know, stumped like a toddler. You know what I mean? So it's just certain things that happen that will ultimately make your growth stunt in that area if you're not conscious of it, if you don't work through it, if you don't process it properly, if you're not able to unlearn that mindset. Like somebody just say something to you random at a kid, boy, you ain't gonna be shit when you grow up. You know what I mean? And you internalize that, you carry that with you, and every time you're about to achieve something, you think about that person saying, boy, you ain't gonna be when you grow up. You know what I mean? So it's and it could be from the smallest little thing, the smallest little bit of encouragement or discouragement that you got that will keep you from, you know, developing in one area.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hi, Nelson. One thing I'll say, the other day, Jeezy was in an interview, and he said that, I don't quote me on the years, but he said probably about 8 years he was depressed and didn't know it. And so with everything that you just said, many times in those circumstances, we don't know that there is a different way to be. We don't know. And so my answer to that is this. It might not be your fault, right? But it is your responsibility. And the first thing that will bring us to the awareness of this doesn't feel good is how you're feeling.
Right.
What's up, Dave?
But it might not be a feeling, it might be a thought. You know, it may be how you're thinking, and you subconsciously thinking these thoughts.
Let me stop you right there. Thoughts begin your emotions. So you got to have a thought first. So as we're having this conversation and this discussion, there are little things that we have to know before we get to where we're trying to go. So everything that we're discussing when we talk about thoughts and our emotions, we're first talking about energy. Everything is energy. So you and I are vibrating, that, you know, step and repeat behind you is vibrating. Everything is about matter, energy, frequency, vibration. Once you start to want to change, the mindset is where we have to begin. So if it's set in a place where it's fixed, if it's set in a place where you want to have growth, you got to see the mind as it's a garden, right?
So I posted this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a garden, and then there's seeds. The seeds are the thoughts. And the water that we put on it, it could be negative energy, it could be positive energy, but it's going to grow either way, right? And so before we put too much on an individual who's getting this new information, because many times, again, you don't know what you don't know. You just know that you're feeling some type of way and you don't want to feel that way anymore. One of the key things for us from in our communities is even being vulnerable to enough to tap into that. Like, I'm not feeling the way that I really want to feel, right? But some kind of way, I think that this is how it is, because many people that I'm around, people in my family, my friends, they're kind of dealing with the same things. But what we do have to start doing is looking at where we can begin as easy as possible so that we're not overwhelmed. So it's good that you're having conversations like these with me from someone who has that information. And it can start as easy as what we call mindfulness. So
Mm-hmm.
that's being present in the moment, non-judgmentally, like not judging your thoughts and just becoming aware. That's
I read a
one
lot of
thing.
books
So,
by Thich Nhat Hanh, and he got the book The Art of Mindfulness. But he got a lot of books, you know what I mean. But I
mhm,
really, when I'm really flustered or I'm really just overwhelmed, I kind of just say, I was walking down the street one day and I just felt like I had the world on my shoulders.
right.
And I heard the Holy Spirit say, "You just walking down the street. Just walk down the street." You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you can't solve world peace. You just walking down the street at this point. You might can, but you need to focus on where you are right now, you know.
And I'll tell
But I
you why
think a lot of
that is
it is
important.
subconsciously,
Mhm.
you know, a lot of it is subconscious. We don't even know, you know.
So before we get there, what you're saying is so important, because sometimes you may feel like there's nothing you can do, but in the present moment, and like you said, just walk down the street as what you were doing, but it's whatever you're doing, paying attention to, when you're pouring water, or the color of the juice, or how the cup feels, or the scenery outside as you're walking, the trees. So your point of power is always in the now.
Yeah,
So we're not trying to be in the present, right? Or not trying to be in the future. We're not trying to look at the past. We want to remain in the present moment. So that's one thing that you can do to start to redirect yourself and start to build a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Just being in the present moment, starting there. That's something easy and simple. Feeling the water on your fingers, or how the water feels when you're in the shower. Because if you make it too difficult, then we're back into our minds, right? And so you said something that's very important, that when we're getting the information, we need to know, well, how do I make the change?
right.
Your brain is oftentimes your biggest enemy, right? Because
Right.
it likes the familiar. The reptilian part of your brain wants to remain safe. And as soon as you say, I want to change, I want to be different, I know that there's things out there that I want to do. There's, things that I want to experience, but I feel like there's blocks. Like, your brain's going to tell you, no, there's no safety in that. You want to stay right here where you are, where you're safe and you're protected.
Right.
But we know that that's not realistic, because you are safe and you are protected. Unless there's, a wild bear coming at you,
Imminent
you don't need
danger.
an
Listen,
imminent
imminent
danger.
danger.
You
Yeah,
don't
I
need
stay
anything.
prepared for imminent danger, and I try not to be prepared for imminent danger but sometimes it be too late when the imminent danger come and you're trying to get prepared. So I be kind of trying to stay ready so I don't have to get ready. And I'm on imminent danger all the time. You feel me?
So,
But you will get stuck in that mode of imminent danger when I lived like that for like 20 years, just on alert from imminent danger. So now, I'm 10 years out. I don't need to be as aware of imminent danger, but it's so ingrained in my mind that, oh yeah, it's up in less than a second for sure.
and so the first step that I gave you for that fight or flight response is, again, mindfulness and being in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how you begin. The second
Right.
thing that I'll give you is, when you are in that environment, or you are having those feelings, emotions, and it's at a heightened awareness, that's coming from fear, that's coming from just being uh, in a place of, wow, how do I handle this? And that brings on the anxiety, but you're going to need tools to help you with that. So to
So
build that consciousness, wait, let me finish this
okay,
thought. To build that
I'm gonna let
consciousness, you start with the subconscious.
you.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
your conscious, and what you're doing day to day, picking up that cup, setting up this podcast, driving your car, like all those things you're going to do just automatically, right?
Yeah.
Without even thinking about it. But what's running the program
Mm-hmm.
the 90% that's running the program, that's embedded in why you're doing those things that you said you're doing, like I don't even know, like it's just how it's been for me for over 20 years. It's because you have a program in your subconscious that has to be rewritten. It's like a computer. If you want the computer to do something different, you got to give it a different program. So the next thing that I'll give you is, how do you give it a different program? There's several types of ways. You can do hypnosis by going to a psychotherapist, or you can do self-hypnosis. And you can, yeah.
Good. For real. How long do hypnosis last though? I want to change on my own for real. Like I've done a lot of change. You know what I mean?
Okay, but hear me out. Let me finish this thought.
Right.
So these are the ways: hypnosis, self-hypnosis, or reprogramming your subconscious mind every night before you go to bed or every morning. Your brain is in what we call theta. So that's the, what's up, girl?
Frisco.
Your brain is in theta.
Frisco, Dana, Frisco. I'm here. She jumping in. So we already rolling. We had to get it popping. I know you feel me. So we here though.
So going to bed, those last 5 minutes before you doze off to sleep, you want to go on to YouTube. And then you want to find subconscious reprogramming tracks. There's a ton of them. You want to get your earbuds.
Okay.
Okay, you want to put them in. And you want to play. You can even record your own voice.
I was going to say, because I watched a couple of them things and it gave me nightmares. All them things ain't cool. All them things got, some of them got different frequencies.
Before we go there, because I use some of them that are very tried and true, and I play one every single night. It's called The Universal Mind by Kelly Howell. The Universal Mind by Kelly Howell, right? And she has a lot of good tracks. You can put those in, and you can play them as you go to sleep. And what it's doing is, as your mind is open to suggestion, right? And again, you can record your own self using I am affirmations. I have a CD. I have tracks on Apple Music and on Spotify that you can play as well, that can help you to reprogram your subconscious mind. And why is this important? Again, you got to throw the old program out, which is allowing you to feel as if they're familiar, which is not helping you to get to, the goals that you have set out for yourself, not allowing you to change your health, not allowing you to make changes in your finances, not allowing you to be in relationships that are conducive to, healthy interactions. It's because of the program that you're running. And these programs have been instilled since childhood. Yeah. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's not something that's going to help you, like you wake up the next day after you've listened and be like, okay, but it is that powerful that you want to do it consistently. Mm-hmm. And then as you take that information and you go on about your day, then you do want to tap back in throughout the day, staying in the present moment, using your mindfulness. And the last thing that I will leave you with is meditation. So while you're up and about, and then you're in your conscious mind, as you're going through the day, paying attention to the things that are going to have you at a higher level of emotion. Because what you have to understand is that your emotions carry a frequency. And the law of attraction is real. So if you are at an elevated emotion and your thoughts are there on the things that you desire, and you're putting in that time to reprogram your subconscious, then you're going to have a different set of experiences.
So I used to go to sleep every night for a while watching The Secret. I would just fall asleep to The Secret all the time, like the movie The Secret. I tried to read the book. I may have read the book or not, but I used to fall asleep to the movie all the time. Yeah. But, I mean, it's really, 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 really hard to stay focused. Everybody don't have the mental capacity to stay focused for that long. We living in an ADHD world right now. You know what I mean? And sitting there for 20 minutes doing absolutely nothing is like preposterous.
So when you say sitting there for 20 minutes, be more specific.
You can
So,
scroll yourself to sleep. Go ahead, Dana. I'm sorry.
so what is the 20 minutes that you're sitting there doing nothing? I'm trying to understand.
Well, I said doing nothing, but it's meditating. It's
Okay.
mindfulness. The mindfulness is just focusing on being where you are. Really is doing absolutely nothing. Or, you know, you could be doing.
So let's start where what you said with when you gave all those series of reallys and about it being hard.
Mhm.
So in one of the most important things that you have working for you is your imagination.
I got imagination like a mother baby.
Okay, the next important thing that you have working for you is visualization. So hey cousin, how are you? Love you. So the first thing that you want to do is, like I said, being in the present moment. Like if you don't have 20 seconds, if you don't have 30 seconds, you're going to have to build it up. It's not going to happen overnight. So writing down when you are in the proper mood to write down exactly the things that are hindering you, because you have to start with, what are your limiting beliefs? I don't know what they are. She doesn't know what they are, but you know what they are.
Holy High
so starting there.
Holy High said the Bible said God meditate on God's word.
Absolutely.
So tell me where, like, a lot of times mindfulness to me is more like Buddhism. Like I got all my mindfulness from like Buddhism for real. You know, just reading up on different monasteries and monks and different, like they got that stuff down. So tell me how religion plays a part.
So let me speak to that. We can put in this conversation about mindfulness whatever practice you want.
Mm-hmm.
We can put atheism in there.
Mm-hmm.
If you start to layer it with something that doesn't fit, then it gets convoluted. Mm-hmm. Just like I'm sitting here speaking to you and we're paying attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth and your responses. Right. If you try to tuck mindfulness into somewhere that it doesn't need to be, then you're making the understanding more difficult than it needs to be. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing when we go back to mindset. You're layering it with more things, right, and you're taking away the simplicity of it. Right. This is you in the present moment, paying attention to what's happening and not judging it. That's it. That's it. The next thing is meditation. If you're going to sit in silence, you are connecting with you. This has nothing to do with anything but other than you sitting there connecting with you. If you can't, there's a book that I have that I was part of my training when I became a yoga instructor. And there are 1-minute meditations that you can do that will help you with anxiety, mm-hmm, lower your blood, and lower your blood pressure in 1 minute. Mm-hmm. And to go back to mindset, if you're coming from the idea that this is hard, I can't do this, and I've been this way for so long, like that is not someone who is actively saying, I want to change, because that is now your affirmation. Yeah. This is hard. I can't do this. It's difficult. And now that has become what you are repetitively saying to yourself. This is about the letting go of the familiar for the unfamiliar. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a day-to-day beginning with some of the simplest things that I gave you. I didn't want to overwhelm you or the guests, but you start with what's happening right in front of you in the present moment. And from there, you take that to a meditation practice that can start with a minute. We can scroll on Instagram for a minute and tapping on pages that we probably shouldn't be on in a minute. You just meditated on that. So if you can't give time to uplift your true self and put yourself on a pathway that's going to allow you to open up to the desires that you say that you want, Because no matter how you look at it, in the quantum field, when we look at quantum physics, what we are thinking, right, from your heart space, your heart has 5,000, is 5,000 times more powerful than the wavelengths from your brain. So what we want to do is get our heart and brain into coherence. You say, how do you do that? How do we do that? So when you sit for that 1 minute, but I believe that your guests are pretty conscious that they can sit for 5 and 10, but you can build up. So what you want to do during that time, and you're sitting there and you're thinking about a situation or a person, we want to start with appreciation and let that feeling begin to bubble up in you, gratitude. Right? And then you want to go to gratitude. And then you want to have care, like think of care for something or somebody. And as you're sitting there, there's a SIG, there's a hormone like in your mouth, right? That'll start to come alive. Like when you start to sit in this feeling, because the attraction is the feeling that you are emitting, right? And when you do that, you begin to have this field around you. And when you sit there and you're in those feelings, guess what? That field will last for a good 6 hours.
Yeah.
And anybody that you come in contact with, you're going to be able to transfer those feelings, that energy, that way to them. So this is more than cause and effect, is what we see in the quantum field. You're causing the effect. You create your reality. And it has to start with, number one, having a paradigm shift so that your mindset is that of a growth mindset, knowing that although I may not have been born with this set of skills or this, but I can work hard. Like I can build that instead of a fixed mindset where we were talking earlier, like it's very, 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 very fixed mindset. Like you want to stay in the present moment and allow your consciousness to bubble and grow so that you can be open to more information, open to change, and hearing things that are not layering it with this religion does this does that, these do that. No, it's about your inner self, your true self, and how you connect with it. And once you start to do that and see the world, just seeing your daily life in a different way, staying in the positive. Everything is not great, but when you use your imagination to visualize what it is that you want, like you will create that. You will build on just one little step at a time. I've been doing this since 1998. That's a long time.
How has it worked for you? If you are, what's your testimony?
My testimony is everything that I am saying to you, I have seen come to fruition in my life. From starting out from a place of pain and hurt, and that pushed me toward yoga and meditation. So at that moment, I didn't change from a place of joy that we can all do. I changed because it was too much to bear and I didn't have the tools to handle it. And so that was the impetus to push me toward my first interaction with yoga and meditation. And that was with a gentleman in Pasadena on Lake Street. And from there, I remember listening to Steve Harvey, and he was speaking to a sister named Robin Downs. I love you, Robin. And she was the first sister that I had that was a yoga instructor. And I would go all the way come all the way to LA. I'm in LA right now, but I would drive from Pasadena to LA. I would take my cousins and my sister with me, and her brand of yoga is called Yoga Flavor. And she would play like neo soul in the background and give us like beautiful teas and helped us to begin to unwind and just to leave all of our problems on the mat. at that point in time, we were in the present moment, vibing with her, listening to the music, and getting in touch with our bodies, getting in touch with our inner self, and allowing that space to help us be the alchemist. You have to be the alchemist, and you have to change. You have to want the change, and you have to know when enough is enough. And I have to go out and seek the gurus and the people who have the information that are going to help me get to the place that I want to be.
Okay. So what's overall, if you had 2 minutes in an elevator and you wanted to change somebody's life, what would you do? The elevator is crashed.
Uh-huh.
How you going to?
I
So
would say
you got less than a minute.
Less than a minute.
What's that? What would you say to that person?
You gotta focus on your heart set. You gotta focus on your mindset. You gotta focus on your health set. When all those things are working in tandem, then you will be able to have an elevated experience that's going to allow you to seek the desires of your heart. Your mindfulness, your mindset is everything. Anything that you want to do is always going to begin with a thought. This phone that I'm on, the Instagram, everything that we're doing, it started out as a thought. Thoughts become things. And so you want to water your thoughts with the most positive vibrations and information that you can give them. And when you see yourself in places where the vibration is too low, you got to remove yourself.
For sure.
In order to manifest the things that you are desiring, you want to make sure that you are protecting your mindset, your heart set, your health set, and your soul set.
I know, Frisco, if you got something you want to, can you introduce
Someone, yes. They just asked who is speaking.
So speaking is ID Mac at ID Mac. Is that's your Instagram, right?
Yeah, it's Dana Mac, and you can follow me on Dana Mac on my Instagram or ID Mac, or you can go to my my YouTube page, and it's at Dana Mac there as well. My website is at Dana Mac, and I am also a children's book author. Mm-hmm. And I have a book on Amazon. It's The Pirate Who Loved Flip-Flops. And when we talk about in that book, I tell the children about the desires of your heart. You always got to be seeking what it is that is making you feel good, the things that you want, the things that are not hurting anybody, the things that are making you want to wake up every day and live a beautiful and blessed life. And so,
I know. So for those who just tuning in, we're talking to Dana Mac, the PR,
my baby sister's in here. What's up,
mindset. My little brother's in here. There's a few people in here. People, they tuning in. They're getting this good wealth of high vibrations on this good evening, afternoon. You know what I mean? I just want to, elevate people's mind for real. I want to start the conversation. I mean, there's so many conversations that need to be had instead of talking about Will and Jada and Krishan and Blueface, and you know what I mean? Like, let's have these conversations about fixing yourself, healing yourself, elevating yourself. You know what I mean? Not saying that, we're going to talk about that stuff too, but we're going to talk about it from the perspective of, well, why did they do that? Let's talk about how we do this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so I will leave you with, for those who are on this journey or want to get on this journey and you want to begin with meditation, again, I have my meditations under Dana Mac on Apple Music, Spotify, and that's a place where you can start to reprogram the subconscious. I did mention the Kelly Howell, the Universal Mind, because I believe in the evening time, that's something that can really, really relax you and start to get those affirmations going. You can create your own affirmations. I have I Am t-shirts that I sell on my Dana Mac website, and you wear it to help you remind yourself that you, again, create your reality. Whatever you put after those 2 words, those are 2 of the most powerful words in any language. I am.
I am.
I
somebody.
Whatever you put behind that, you will become. So you want to put positive things in that garden. And whatever you water it with, that's what's going to grow. And water it with things that are positive. And so
Yeah.
that is my time. I am about
No.
to step into this university.
So serious. I gotta quit saying I am rowdy because I'm gonna be rowdy if I keep saying I am rowdy.
You want to say things that are positive, and you want to help to, again, have
Yeah,
that paradigm shift
I
so that you can focus on the things that
am.
you really want and the things that you desire. So, again, I am headed to teach.
Dana,
Thank
I
you for having
definitely
me here.
appreciate you tuning in and dropping this knowledge.
Yes.
We're going to have to have you back because I feel like we but scratched the surface on everything.
Hi,
There's a lot of
Jesse.
stuff. There's a lot
My
of stuff
cousin.
I wanted to ask you, but definitely I appreciate you stopping through.
Yes.
Necessary podcast.
Love and light and stay magical, family.
For sure.